Hey everyone, it's Mike from DC, and I'm here with a nice gentleman named Luis Peregrina, who has his own plumbing company, and let's have him tell us a little bit about who he is and what he's done.
Hey everybody, Luis with Peregrina Plumbing Company. So I am the owner of this plumbing company. I'll explain a little bit about myself. I am a Virginia local who's been around for 28 years now. I was born in the West Coast on Los Angeles, California, and then moved to the Arlington area, moved around the Alexandria area, and now living closer to the Springfield area. So I've lived all over the DMV, all over the Northern Virginia area, and recently met up with Mike, and we kind of want to start promoting the trades, talking about what it is to be, a plumber, be a business owner, and here's our first interview.
And thank you to Luis. In fact, when did you start your company, and did you always know you were going to be a plumber?
So I started my company 2 years ago now, almost 2 years in February, but I knew I wanted to be a plumber for the rest of my days, probably around COVID. So before that, I had been plumbing for about 8 years, but then everybody's world slowed down, including mine. So I was home. I messed with trading. I'm pretty sure I did the meme stocks training. I was, trying to figure out if there was any other path for me. But the longer I looked, the more I figured that I wanted to still be a plumber. And worked for almost 3 years hard after that. And I figured that it was time for me to go on my own once I got my master's license, and here we are.
Now, after you're getting your master's license, I noticed you got some serious guts. You put your name on your van. Why did you put your name on your van, and what do you like to do, especially with, what is your number one call?
So we decided with my wife that we were going to put the name on the van because I wanted it to be personalized. I wanted it to be more than just another plumbing company you could call. I wanted it to be somebody that you recognize. I know it's kind of corny, but like family. Somebody that would come into your home and treat your home exactly like they would treat their own. And that's what we push with my company. And so, keeping that value, I felt was the best way to do that was putting my name, my family's name on the company, so they feel like they're treated the best,
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess favorite call for me, I love leak repairs. They're not, most of the time, homeowners are freaking out, worried, and for me it's like, oh, I already know what I'm dealing with. Okay, let me cut a hole here, and I usually find it. I'll be 100% honest, and not to flaunt my own boat, but like I get it 99% of the time, just because usually when you've been a plumber for long enough, you know how systems run, how lines are ran. There have been times where it was a handyman special, and we had to cut open huge holes to get the leaks repaired, but for the most part, get it done pretty quick.
Okay, and also we do have winter coming up right now, or we hope it's winter in the DC area. What would you recommend to homeowners and renters right now to do to their house?
So, as many of you know or don't know, it's time to winterize. And if you don't know what that means, is it's time to disconnect your hoses from your hose bibs, and start relieving that water that could be in those hose bibs lines out of your line. We've had a couple of days where the temperatures were dropping close to freezing. So the last thing you need is to worry about a leak rupture in your home. And the best way to do that, just to keep it simple, if you have more thoughts on it, you could always YouTube it. But what you do is you look for the shutoff valves for your individual hoses. You want to shut those off. Look for the hose bibs, disconnect your hoses from them. You never want to leave it on because that creates a loop of freeze. And then from there, as long as you open the valve, let the water out. I usually leave it open for about 24 hours. If it's cold, you might want to shut it off after that. But that in itself is enough to winterize. If you want to add another layer of extra protection, we usually install sleeves that are great for keeping the hose bib insulated if those temperatures drop even lower than freezing.
Okay, and Luis, I'm kind of curious. Okay, I notice you have a nice van here. It's a Ram, admittedly a fan. But say as a consumer, all of a sudden my water heater explodes and goes up my roof, or say my toilet finally explodes after year 24 in the house. What should I look for other than Peregrina Plumbing? What would you recommend I look for? Certain things, certain licenses? What would you recommend when looking for a proper plumber?
So yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for a plumber to service your home, the first thing that I would recommend is looking for reviews. A big thing that we've seen in our area is also Facebook pages. We've seen a couple go up in this area, and they usually have some great recommendations there. Another thing that's, not always to every person, but I usually try to say is look for those family owned companies or local companies that are not corporations, because they are going to care about you as a person and not about the bottom line. Also, they're usually cheaper. And besides that, making sure that everybody you hire is licensed for what you need. Maybe if it's just fixing a toilet fill valve, you could use a handyman. But if you're going to run a new water line, please hire a plumber. And finding a proper plumber that way, you usually want to go to dpor.com, dpor.com, and there you'll be able to find any licensed plumber. I think it's dpor.com/license lookup is the exact website link. But you can actually put their name. So like you'd put my name, would be Peregrina Plumbing Company Inc., and then you'll find that we've been properly licensed for the last 2 years. But yeah, there you'll find if they still have an active license, non-active license, and that's the best, to making sure that if anything does go wrong, you have proper scenario revenues to take if, you have to go that way. But you always want to make sure you hire somebody that's licensed.
Yeah, and also just curious, I know you guys and gals work a lot of hours. How many miles a day do you think you drive, and how many cups of coffee do you go through every shift?
Miles, it kind of varies, man. So, there's been days where it's been great and I'm just here in the Springfield area. So, those 20, 30 miles is your day. But then there's days where my first call is out in Sterling. My second call is out in Woodbridge. My third call is in Arlington. So we service the Northern Virginia area, but you're driving that far of a distance between areas, it's 60, 80 miles a day. The worst scenario I ever had was, I think I had to drive to Leesburg, and then I had to go to Manassas, then I had to go to Arlington. My final call was in Woodbridge, and then I had an emergency call where I had to go back to Alexandria. And I think that was 120 miles that day, but yeah, typically as long as you can drive, I'd say 50, 60 is about your average. So yeah, if you do join the field and you want to become a service plumber, understand that you're going to be driving. Now, if for you just want to focus on just the plumbing side, that's where new construction is recommended, or remodeling, because you're going to stick to long locations for a while, or single locations for a while. Where service plumbing, you might have a call that might last 2 days at the longest, but besides that, you're probably going to a new location every day.
Yeah, and obviously, right now today, Luis and I were talking about this. It's true. College is not for everybody. It's great for what it is, but for some people, it's got to be the military or a trade school. What do you know about trade schools, and what can you tell young men and women that are in high school right now what they should do?
So, as far as trade schools go, most of the time, if you join the right company, they will pay for your school. That's one thing that I always try to, help people understand, is where you or your parents are going to be paying for school. If you go to college, you go to trade school, you get with the right company. You usually got to, be a good worker for a year, through your time. But after that, they usually can put you through their system, through the school system, and that takes about 4 years. So if you do your 4 years apprenticeship match with the hours from the companies that you work, you will end up with a journeyman's license once you graduate and pass that test.
And does that mean you're clear of the trade school and all your debt?
Yeah, so even let's say you work for a crappy company that doesn't want to pay for your school, you're looking at, with your books and everything, about $2,000 a year.
Wow, that's a lot less than even a state university is.
I think the school that I went to was a little more, and it was 2.5. But even then, for the 40 credit hours that you're supposed to be getting through college versus trade school, that's significantly cheaper.
Now, when you were going to trade school for plumbing, did you also do work in HVAC or electrical, or did you have to know a little bit about the other trades to get your license?
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about being a plumber, is you get to really dabble with a little bit of everything. Maybe I wouldn't sell that as a service for my company, but if there's an electrical issue, I can diagnose it most of the time. I'm not running new wires, but I understand electrical enough. Just because us three trades, we kind of interlock in certain ways. HVAC will have a bunch of small component systems that are all electrical, and they have to figure out where everything's going wrong. And we do the same. Like we have, water heaters, water pumps, storage tank pumps, like all these things that have to have electrical ran correctly, and they're 240 volts to 120. So you do have to understand how electrical works. Yeah, I did take some time understanding amperage and voltage, because all those ones do get confusing.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, it could be an unpleasant surprise, shockingly, so to speak. Right? Now, do you see a growth in women in plumbing and other trades at this point right now?
I have, man. So when I was younger, my younger years, I was probably like 19, 20, when I really started focusing on being a plumber. And I'll be honest, I never saw a lady plumber ever in my younger years, but I finally left construction about 8 years ago, and I was surprised to see that about 20% of the current company's workforce were ladies.
Wow.
Lady plumbers. So it was kind of cool, man. Like, honestly, I don't think that the trades are just for men. I mean, it's hard work. Maybe it's pushed on men because you're gonna beat your body up a little bit, and it's gonna hurt. But if you're a lady who likes to work with your hands, and you really want to learn something that's gonna be, and definitely more expensive through the years, and in higher demand than, maybe in higher demand than some college people. The only thing that we know is for sure that your job's also secure. I don't think we're gonna find robot plumbers, so I do certainly hope that more women and men join more of the trades in the coming years, because I don't know if you knew, Mike, but in our area, our average age is about 58 to 60.
Oh, wow. So there will be growth possibilities for young people.
Yeah, if they join. If not, your plumber is probably going to double expensive. It's going to get double expensive in the next coming years.
So is there like a certain, I guess, what colleges or trade schools would you recommend to our young men and young ladies that are watching right now?
So I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but there's the adult education section that's part of Fairfax County. So that's where I finished my last 2 years. Before that, I went to ABC, which is Architects, Builders, Contractors. They have their own schooling system as well out there in Sterling. And then the Fairfax County one, I went to Woodson High School for the adult education, but I don't know if they changed the actual base of like what school they use. But yeah, if you go to ACE, I think it's .com, that's the Adult Education Center for Fairfax County area schools, and they were great. They helped a lot. The school that I had was an inspector, a plumbing inspector, so he really like taught me deep into the book. Because you can slap pipes together, but not everybody understands that there's coding, how water heaters run, how vents are run, how drain systems are run, what piping can go underground and what can't. So you want to make sure that somebody that you hire understands and knows all that.
So you're also saying that there's been a huge technological leap with water heaters and other plumbing elements then?
Oh, hell yeah, man. I recently just installed a hybrid water heater water pump to last Friday, and man, that thing amazed me. It had Bluetooth connectivity, it had Wi-Fi connectivity.
Wow.
So the homeowner, we were like talking back and forth, and I was like, hey Travis, how's the thing going? And he told me that the app was telling him how efficiently warm the water was.
Wow.
So as soon as we connected, the app to the water heater, it told him that it would take about, I think it said an hour and some change, and it was at 20%. And then we checked like 30 minutes later, and it was now at 80%. So like it legit tells you how hot the storage tank is. If it's having any issues, it sends you the direct error codes to send to your plumber. So I mean, the future of plumbing is crazy, man. Like I think that as this whole smart home integration continues going forward, I think that one day, and even now, it kind of already exists where you won't have to worry much about leaks because it'll send a notification to your plumber or something. But there is now auto shut-off valves that exist. There's a famous one from Watts and a famous one from Moen. And what they do is they kind of like start learning how you shower, when you use the most water. And if they figure that in the middle of the night there's like a high spike in random water usage, they'll shut the water off because they'll think it's a leak.
Oh, so it could save you money then.
Yeah.
So this technology will allow the homeowner and the plumber company then to both be communicated with, saying we have a problem, and that could save them maybe from like a $5,000 or $10,000 water bill.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it can start reading, when there's like toilets running. If forever for some reason you have a leak, it'll shut off the valve before it becomes expensive damage. If it's some small pinhole leak that you can't see, it'll start reading why. There's reasons. It'll send you, I guess, a diagnostic report and asking why there's water running. So it's super smart, and this is just the beginning. So another decade of this, I'm pretty sure you don't have to worry about water damage as much as we worry about it now.
Mm-hmm. And just out of curiosity, earlier you mentioned that it is a physical job. Every day, or let's just say every day you work, do you ever have to take aspirin or painkillers or that sort of thing? Or what do you recommend? Stretches, anything that can help you?
Yeah, I certainly say that, like, I never really stretched in my 20s, and never felt it, but now I do. I certainly think that as a plumber, you do get beat a lot, and I think that the best thing you could do is take those relaxing showers if you're hurting. I don't take aspirin. I don't take Tylenol. I think that usually when your body's telling you there's pain, masking doesn't help for the long run. So most of the time it is stretching or just getting a little bit stronger. So I am a big fan of going to the gym. As you can see, I'm not consistent, and I like to eat. But, but I try to always work on like keeping my muscles healthy and growing. Because there's days where you don't have a helper and you got to manhandle this 50-gallon water heater by yourself. So it does get hard. But I certainly think that as long as you're taking care of yourself with stretching and making sure you do a little bit of weight training,
should be good to go. Now, when you started your company, what year did you start your company again in?
2023.
Okay. Have you seen it grow, and what is your goal for your Peregrina plumbing? What is your goal to see happen?
So, over the last almost 2 years now, we've grown significantly. I was talking to Mike earlier, and we hope that over the next year, we're probably going to be bringing in, my goal is to at least have 2, but I really want to bring in like 5. I think that through the growth that I've been having and just meeting other people, next year is going to be explosive for my company. The only problem for me is I want to bring people who have the same value and heart that I do to the company, right? So I just don't want to hire somebody that's going to go in and slap a couple of pipes together and call it a day, and now my client has problems 2 years down the road. I want the same work ethic that I have to be brought into my employees. So I'm taking my time. Obviously, when the company does get too busy, we sub out work for now. But
is that through your local partners that you've worked with over the years?
Yeah, so I know.
You can vouch for them, I guess? Yeah,
I have a couple of plumber friends that are in this area. They also started their own companies that do great work themselves. So I think that as long as you're choosing somebody that is local to Virginia, you want to keep the money here in our state, and that isn't a corporation per se. You're in great hands. Like. You certainly want to have somebody that isn't going to think of you as a number. And I think that as long as like a family-owned company or local area, is going to be your best bet. Okay, that's good advice, and I'd like to personally say thanks to you, to Luis. As we wrap this up, I do have to ask you one interesting off-the-wall question. What's the wildest call you've ever done? Man, to be honest with you, them snaking calls are always wild. But there's one that I kind of never forget. And it was just this time that we went to go snake what was a toilet clog line. And when we took off the toilet, there was just roots all over the toilet bowl. So just, imagine like little... Again.
We got it. This time it's been rescued.
Just imagine, little root hairs growing into the bowl. We're like, all right, so this is a root problem already. We took it apart, and the client was like, oh, yeah, I saw like little hairs, but, I thought that was part of the thing. Well, we ended up snaking it. Found out that there was more roots down the system, that they had a shattered pipe, and that trees are going to find a way when it comes to sewer systems. But that was probably one of the funniest ones I had to deal with, just because the client thought it was normal. But yeah, I think that every day as a plumber, you see some crazy stuff, man. Either you'll see some homeowner that wanted to be a plumber and slap 3 different pipe materials together, or just like the average drain clog is always a fun job, because most of the time it's either wipes. So here's my last advice to you: no such thing as flashable wipes. No such thing as flushable wipes, no matter what the marketing says. The only thing that is flushable is toilet paper. So yeah, that's the biggest ones. The amount of balls that we'll pull out from clients using flushable wipes always makes me laugh.
So it's a mass problem. So to speak.
It keeps us in business, though, right?
That is true. It's a royal flush of cars, that's for sure. And just out of curiosity, I see your van here. The best way would be to reach you at 703-486-4333, and then your
Yes,
website.
sir. Yes, sir.
And what would you like to say to get new customers in the Virginia DC area?
So, if you're tired of the plumber or the plumbing company that you've been dealing with, and you want somebody that's going to actually care about your home, to really dedicate time to making sure this repair is as permanent as possible, give us a call. We certainly put our clients first. We worry about their needs. We want to make sure that they're not being overly, how would you say it, overly extended on just one repair, and then they're struggling with the rest of their bills or what say. So we work with each one of our clients. We make sure that they're knowledgeable with what's going on, with what we're going to do, and how this is going to end. So if you want to work with a company that's going to be there from the very beginning to the end, to even down the road when you need us, give us a call.
Thank you very much, Luis. And you know what? Let's have a royal flush and thanks to Mr. Luis, a great man, a wonderful plumber, and you all take care. And please call Peregrina Plumbing if you have an issue.